Good afternoon, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year member, veteran of the media. I am so happy to be able to now bring you Crime Crunchies. All right. How awesome was Monks the other night? Golf clap, golf clap. Yay, Monks. Woohoo. He was awesome. And you know what? We had great feedback. And I want to thank everybody who joined us and shared feedback. So many people just even love the combination. Maybe we'll have to do that again. You just never know. But I really appreciated it. And then he had another video yesterday and even had my intro duck in the very beginning. So I am, again, just fan fave. Excelente. So we are going to be talking about something that I don't know that anyone has hit on yet. And the topic today was assisted living looming for Miss Nancy Guthrie? And if anybody has had elderly parents, you may know that assisted living is very, very expensive. So I have gone to ChatGPT, which I'm very transparent about, does all my lovely research. And we're going to take a look at some potential costs. Plus, I have late breaking the unredacted ransom notes from Shanna X on X and a few other topics. But most of all, at the end of today's episode, I am going to be doing my monthly member appreciation spin the wheel for all my members. Again, this is a no super sticker, no super chat, no membership zone. I want everybody to go out, put gas in your tanks and groceries on your table. But I have some naughty people who have wanted to go ahead and support the show and have become members. And I love that. I'm very humble. I appreciate it. I even gave away 10 free memberships. And I've got, I think, 5 new ones in August. It's August 1st. So we're going to spin the wheel. Hello, Darcy. Hello, Joe. Hello, Jody Woo. Hello, J Dub. Hello, Ruru. Yes, you guys are in the drawing. So let me share my screen. If you have not subscribed, it is completely free. That's the only thing I would love for you to do. And you can see the wheel. Woo! Again, I don't ask anyone to become a member. If you really, really want to, I love and adore you. So every month I want to do a give back to those. So we've got 25 members that are active today, and we will be spinning the wheel. How fun is that? And they will be winning one Amazon or Walmart gift card today. So, all right, let's talk about assisted living. Anybody here, raise your hand if you have taken care of your parents or a grandparent or know of somebody. And, sometimes those houses get to be just a little bit too much. We know that Miss Nancy had mobility issues. It was getting very difficult for her to even walk to the mailbox and needed help. But it just happens, and a lot of people really don't want to go into assisted living. And Nancy may not have wanted to, okay? But it just depends on the level of care they are able to get. I know I took care of my mom, and luckily I was able to take care of her. But if there had been any lifting or if she was bedbound, I would have had to have put her in somewhere because I could not have lifted her or taken care of her at that point. I don't think Nancy was there, but how do we know that there weren't conversations about Nancy maybe ending up having to go into assisted living? Or, if Nancy is social, she might have wanted to go into assisted living. Again, the house is too big for just her. She bought that home when her children were young and in school. She's got at least an acre, a pool. We don't know what the situation was. So again, when we're looking at a motive, let's just take a look at the average monthly cost of assisted living in Tucson, Arizona. So if we've got a basic shared room, ChatGPT is saying it could be anywhere from $3,500 to $4,500. A standard private studio is $4,500 to $5,500. Premium community, $6,000 to $7,500. And I'm sure that they would not have wanted her to go in a shared room situation. She did not need memory care, which is a blessing. That would be about $5,500 to $7,500. But let's take a look at some of the things that are included. So again, you've got your private apartment or studio, 3 meals a day, housekeeping, laundry, activities and outings, transportation, medication reminders or assistant, 24-hour staff, an emergency response system. And I know that a lot of people have commented, how odd that people have felt that she lived alone. She didn't have a life alert, the necklace, as far as we know. And again, she might have, we're just speculating. We only can go off of what we believe we've been told. But if she didn't have a life alert, I know people have been very unhappy with the fact that she had a camera, but there was no subscription. So, we don't know how much Nancy had been involved in any of those, but at least having a life alert. She could have fallen at any time. She could be sharp as a tack, but falls still happen, They do also do additional help with bathing, dressing, mobility, incontinence care, medication management, and some of those extra things do increase the monthly cost. So what we're looking at here, if someone is paying around on average $5,000 a month, $60,000 per year, or $300,000 over 5 years, and unless you've got insurance, which is very expensive, it's going to take all your cash. If she had $500,000 in a savings account, I have no idea how much she had, but you can go through money pretty quickly when you're looking at assisted living. And again, if you're somebody who is motivated by money and that money may be gone for an inheritance, that may speed up the process of additional decision making. These are all the pros and cons, pros and cons. And $8,000 a month for my mom in memory care, easily. So what I did was, let's see if there's anything. Level of care, independent living with services. It's saying in Tucson, $3,000 to $4,000. Standard assisted living, $4,400 to $5,000. Higher end assisted living, $5,500 to $7,000. Memory care, she didn't need that, $5,500 to $7,500. And I think this looks pretty cheap. I know I was looking for my mom and we found a nice place. Well, I shouldn't say that. She needed minor memory care and we thought it was cheap it was like $4,000 a month. And we thought that was smoking. Okay. And it was a nice place, but we don't know what they were looking at. And honestly, I don't think that they would have put her in some place around $4,500. Tucson and Phoenix are big retirement areas. All right, so let's go into this. Could this create financial pressure? From a general investigative perspective, detectives often ask questions like, was someone expecting to inherit assets? Would paying for assisted living significantly reduce the eventual inheritance? Was there disagreement within the family about care arrangements? Had anyone recently discussed selling the person's home to pay for care? Were powers of attorney, wills, or trusts being updated? And there's been a lot of buzz around that. Was anyone financially dependent on the elderly person? Those are standard lines of inquiry in elder financial crime investigations. By themselves, however, the existence of assisted living costs does not indicate criminal intent or implicate any specific information or individual. So based on the Nancy Guthrie case, Nancy owned a valuable home in Tucson. We're thinking it's at least $1 million. She was 84 years old. It would not have been unusual for family members to begin discussing future care options. And that could have even been someone like Savannah or Cam. They might have been saying, hey, Annie and Tommaso, if this is too much and the house is too much, do you think we should do this? Mom's got assets. We could use her assets, no problem. And they might have been thinking, and again, I'm not accusing anyone. I'm talking through like a real logical theory here. We don't have a suspect. I know we're going to talk about some of the information that's been released, but again, what I'm going off of is the fact from Dr. Gary Percotto, anyone over the age of 80 that's been kidnapped, 92%, it's going to be an inner circle. It's going to be someone in the A tier. And at this point, logically, statistically speaking, that's going to be someone who is most affected by the person they're caring for and the people that had probably the most means, motive, opportunity. You know who we're talking about. And it's kind of odd. And I want to give it credence, but I don't know that we should be selective with what we give credence to from Nanos, because he stated that no one has been cleared in a recent interview regarding Luke Daly and Carlos, the two guys who had been swatted. And I think Carlos has filed a lawsuit against Pima County. We're not seeing Luke Daly do that, which is interesting. Maybe he'll follow suit, but I tend to believe that Carlos, who's a delivery driver, I feel like he kind of came out the gate saying, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. So when he was asked in a recent interview, I think it's ABC, Nano says no one's been cleared. And I want to give that credence, but I don't know that we should be selective, because if half of what Nano says is bullpucky, then why should we give this, whatever. Okay. I'm hoping. Okay, whether those potential expenses were actually discussed within the family, influenced estate planning, or played any role in the events surrounding her disappearance is not publicly established, and it wouldn't. There's going to be no public evidence. All right, for your research, one area may be worth examining is a timeline rather than drawing conclusions. Well, we're not going to know. We don't know if anything was discussed. Again, I'm just looking at it as it's something that no one's discussed, okay? And I just wanted to go down and take a look at it. And so out of the amounts that ChatGPT gave me, I'm like, okay, can you calculate costs with life expectancy for like $6,500 a month? Again, she probably does not need memory care. And I'm sure they would put her in a nice place, of course. So using $6,500 per month as a cost of a high quality assisted living community in Tucson, annual is $78,000, according to the Social Security Administration's actuarial life tables. A woman who has already reached the age of 84 has an average remaining life expectancy of roughly 7 years, about age 91, though this is only a statistical average and many people live significantly longer. And really, other than, she did have heart issues that seemed to be controlled with medication. She had pain, which is very common, but let's take a look at those 7 years. So the first year, 78, 2 years, 156. This is going to be draining out of her account. This is like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. 3 years, 234,000. 5 years, 390,000. 7 years would be 546, and on up to 12 years, 936,000. And costs are going to increase over time with inflation. She may end up needing memory care. And so ChatGPT is saying 7 years could actually be closer to 610,000. And if you're someone who is wanting to maximize and be more efficient in what you could potentially receive as an inheritance, and keep in mind that's being split 3 ways, all right? Do we really want to put mom in assisted living and then end up with nothing? Because if we've got 7 years, 610,000 out of $1 million house, now you're down to 300,000. Okay. And then if there's anything in investments and whatnot, that again is all being split 3 ways. And so just saying, pretending there's a $2 million pot that could be split 3 ways and everyone gets $600,000. Taking 600,000 out, now everyone's getting like $300,000 or $400,000, which is still a lot of money, but it's not the full amount that they could be getting. So, you know, just thinking about the motive. I mean, if this is the motive and the opportunity and the means, time could have been of the essence. We don't know what was being discussed, and I'm not sure how people came up with the idea that T was an executor of the trust and that Nancy had made an appointment with an attorney. Does anybody know where that came from? Because I see and hear that a lot, that Nancy had wanted to go in and had an appointment with an attorney like the Monday after that weekend and was going to be taking T out as executor. And I do want to, again, going back to Monks, did he drop a bombshell during our live the other night or what? When he said that he had a viewer who, with caveat, we don't know if anything, taking it with a grain of salt, like he said, he had a viewer who had a friend who was a nanny for Cameron and heard Nancy talking to Cameron that she was sad that Annie and Savannah's relationship was strained and that Annie had been jealous. You know, we all assume that everybody's kumbaya. But, you know, not every family. There are a lot of fractures in families. It happens all the time. So, you know, why would we assume, based on, you know, Savannah's public persona and the very complimentary things that she said about her siblings? And let's see, I see a question. Why would T be executor? Why not Cam? The only thing I can think of is that, you know, A and T are there taking care of her. They probably have logins to her bank accounts and they understand her finances, her medicine, her doctors. And it would probably be, in my opinion, the person who's there with all the logins, it makes more sense for them to handle the trust just because they know the ins and outs. Okay, so if Nancy had entered a higher end assisted living community at around $6,500 a month, the projected lifetime cost could reasonably have been $500,000 or more, depending on how long she lived and how care costs increased over time and her needs. That illustrates why long-term care planning can be financially significant. So again, we don't know. We don't know what was happening. And here's the thing. If they were all together for dinner, again, not knowing the dynamic, but you could have suggestions of going into assisted living coming from Nancy herself. She might have been saying, you guys, the house is just too much. I can't even get my mail. I like playing bingo. I like playing mahjong. I would be happy getting a little apartment. I've got friends who live over at this assisted living center. Maybe it's time for me to do this. I'm 84 and I can't really walk anymore. I don't care to drive. Nancy could have been having a talk with Annie and Tommaso recently and just saying, hey, I would be fine going. It's too much for you guys to do all this. Let me just go and let's simplify it. We could put the house on the market. Or we could have had someone like Savannah say, you know, Mom, I know you really don't want to go into assisted living, but this is a lot for Annie and Tommaso. They have Olmo, who, you know, is a young man, a young teenager. The house is too much for you. I worry about you falling. Would you do this or that? You know, and Nancy could have argued and said, no, I don't want to pay a subscription for the camera. I've lived here for 50 years. Why would I need to pay for a camera? That's silly. You know, and I do want to comment that from my cam video the other night, and apologies, I had internet issues. So if anybody watches my Cameron video, yes, I was away. I was in my Crime Crunchy lair. I had internet issues, so apologies about that. Thank you for watching. But train left the station. Don't know what I was saying. Bubbles. 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 Something about Cam. Oh, well, it'll come back, guys. It'll come around. I do this every live. Okay. Don't remember what I was just going to say, but let's go over to the ransom notes because, you know, we've heard the ransom notes and it's like everybody's talking about the ransom notes, but I don't know that we've all heard them, you know, but what I think is interesting is Miss Shanna X on X. If you don't follow her, it's worth it because she gets some good juice. She has found the original unredacted Nancy Guthrie ransom notes. They were posted on Facebook, then quickly taken down and replaced with the redacted versions. I wonder if Pima County put up the unredacted by accident. Oopsie daisy. So if we look at these, I don't even know how to make this bigger. It's everything that we all know is in them. It's going to be too small for you guys. Let me make me smaller. Boop, boop. But it has the Bitcoin address and it has the email address, savannah@gmail.com. And then the other email address is guthries@yahoo.com. And I don't know enough about, and this is the KOLD, the Tucson TV station. I don't know if their system verifies the email addresses, like you have to put in a real one, or it probably doesn't. I don't know if it verifies the emails to see if it's a real one, but I do want to state that the first one is addressed to Hello Savannah. The second one is addressed to Guthrie family. And again, we have heard so many different times that these are two different people, two different personalities. And on Monks the other night, I did mention, you know, thinking about the first week when police officers, PCSD, the feds, ICACs, everybody was in the house. The entire family is in one house. Cam, T, A, Olmo, Savannah, whoever else is there. They're all in one house. Nobody was separated, but you've got the feds in the house. February 4th, this first note comes across. And hello, Savannah, super creepy. And then it's got all the information and then the Bitcoin. And we see the email here. But then the second note came February 6th. And during this time, the phones are being downloaded. The family is being interviewed. The feds are talking to Savannah, Cam, and Annie and basically telling them, you cannot pay this ransom. We can't stop you from paying the ransom. Chris McDonough on the interview room has stated many times that they're not going to tell them what to do. They're going to advise them not to pay this. Because again, what it does is if it works, other psychos across the globe who do this kind of stuff are going to be enabled. And it's encouraging when it works and they get the ransom. So let's just go do it more. Okay. So I'm sure that the people behind this had they had not planned on any possibility that Savannah would either not pay the ransom, and I'm sure that they had no idea that the feds were going to tell her not to pay the ransom. That was not in the plan. Because if we're sitting around a table and we're saying, let's get her to pay. If we take Nancy, there's no way Savannah is not going to pay this like right away. And everyone's probably going to go, yeah, no, I agree. She'll pay this. She can make one phone call, have somebody beep, beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 drop down USD, because again, Bitcoin is going to give you all kinds of different countries. It doesn't need to be an international person. It could be a required field. So yes, make sure you select USD. Again, we think about USD. The dollar has more strength than, other currencies around the globe. We're not as strong as the pound or the euro, but we're stronger than a lot of other ones. But again, we want this in USD, and you need to select it. So boop, 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 boop. So select that, put it in. Savannah, bada boom, bada bing. It's done, right? Savannah's like, I'm paying. I want my mom back. We have to save her life. We have to save her life. And the feds are like, X-nay, no can do. I mean, if you want to, but I'm telling you, don't do it. There's no proof of life. Don't do it. So Savannah says no. Annie and Tommaso, they can hear all this conversation. They've got inside knowledge. They're probably pooping blue Smurf poops right now in their drawers. They're pooping blue Smurf turds in their britches right now, looking at each other like, oh crap. Oh crap. Are you freaking kidding me? And gulp. And then they've got Tommaso, probably the first one they swabbed the inside of his mouth. And again, I'm not picking on him. He's the last one who saw her. Again, we're looking at statistics. I'm sorry, but the family's the first one to be looked at, especially the last person that saw him. It's just, you've got to clear yourself. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to go through the family. It's all fair game. Everybody swabbed. Swabby dobby do. Okay. Hey, T, can I see your phone? Ding, ding, ding. And when we go back and we look at the day, February 4th, when the first note came in, that February 4th also, ICACs came in and they were downloading all the phones. When all this is happening at the same time, that night at 6:00 is when Derek Collella's text comes over to A&T's phone, and then a 9-second phone call was made on a third family member's phone, which could have been Olmo's, because they're usually in the house together. And if anybody is confused how Derek Colella may have already known Tommaso before this, Monks did an entire show on the band posters. So you guys are, a lot of you obviously here are Monks folks. And thank you again for everybody who's come back and subscribed. I love you. Hug. They ran in the same circuit. So of course they know each other. There's no way they don't. So now we can't pay DC. We've got phones being downloaded while everybody's in the house. They're looking at T because he's the last person to have seen her. Not picking on him. We're being statistical and logical and emotional. 92% of women this age, again, it's a family member, someone in the inner circle. Elimination, needs money, needs to get them out of the way, whatever. Okay. So Tommaso is being looked at with binoculars. They're like, what's he doing now? And everyone's reporting on his movements and watching his facial expression, when the notes are coming in, and Savannah, you can't pay this. And then they're in the bathroom together, whispering, pooping blue Smurf poops in their drawers. Okay. And like I said the other night, if T wrote ransom note number 1, T ain't writing ransom note number 2. No way. They are watching all his devices. No way. And that could be, again, why we've got a different email. It's addressed to a different person. And if you want to look at this, let me put this link in the chat because you guys are not able to read this. And really, the only thing that this is showing is the Bitcoin address and the email, some of the unredacted. And I also want to point out, looking at this, the please enter your date of birth on this is Monday, January 1st, 1990. And then the second one is Monday, August 1st, 1983. That's really a weird date. I mean, I've done where you just want to put a date in, and it's usually January 1st, and then you pick a year. But August 1st, 1983, wouldn't that be crazy if this is someone's real birthday? Wouldn't that be crazy now that we see this? And these should have been released a long time ago. I've had beefs with this because if they truly do not have a suspect, per cutie patootie Brian Enton, who is crowned homecoming king of YouTube, because he's a cutie patootie, very sweet person. And what was I saying? See, I think I started picturing him. And then again, the train. Why am I having trouble with the train today? The train is giving me problems. All right, someone needs to tell me what I was talking about. I got stuck on cutie patootie, Brian Enton. Dates. I know, Joe. I'm counting on you, Joe. The dates. They should have been released. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Let me know. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay. This should have been released a long time ago. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. The dates. These should have been released a long time ago because if you're looking for a subject or a person, a suspect, okay, and you don't have, remember February 10th, they didn't have anyone other than a suspect with T, okay? They released the video. Have you seen this person? Wow, now we're thinking someone's going to get arrested. There's no way you're escaping this, okay? This web. So supposedly Brian Enton has been telling us that his contact, who I believe is with Pima County, has been saying that they don't have anyone. Then why not release more of the ransom notes? There isn't anything in here that really is so awful that people haven't been able to handle. They should have released all of this stuff because, again, when we're looking at the writing, there is a pattern. It is a pattern. And we can see very clearly. And if they needed help with them from the public, this is exactly what they should have done. And the other problem I had is with the billboards. Okay, they had on the billboards missing and a picture of Nancy. And you still have people in the FBI who don't even know the story. You've got people in Tucson that say, oh yeah, isn't that lady that went missing? But when they have billboards, they spent money in like Houston and LA and they put a billboard up. Why didn't they put pictures of Porch Guy on the billboards? These things should have been released a long time ago because and unredacted, because this Bitcoin address, why did they cover this up? Why couldn't they have let us see the email addresses? This might have meant something to someone. Let's see, Mark Kelly involvement. Yeah, Chris McDonough called him donuts. Why did he show up with donuts to Nanos? All right. So anyway, I've belabored this, but basically, if you guys are interested in seeing the unredacted, and we talked about with Monks the other night about the hair either they weren't able to get a profile from the hair, or it didn't point to anyone else. And I loved Monk's video yesterday where he's talking about, the location might have been very important. And I thought that's a great angle. That's why we like Monks, because he thinks outside of the box. And also about Cam, I've had some people comment that they believe that Cam was staying in the casita at Nancy's. We were, kind of wondering about their relationship. It seems like they had a close relationship with each other. Oops, there goes Zosha. Go, baby, go. So, but if he was staying in the casita, somehow I don't think he was staying in the casita, because if he was staying in the casita, that would be a deterrent for somebody coming and taking Nancy. If he was in the casita, and there was no mention of him being there that first day at all. It was all, Annie and Tommaso coming and checking. So I don't know if he was staying in Tucson, somewhere else. Some people said he has a condo. So I don't know, but I just can't imagine that he was staying. Kitty, no, she's rubbing up against here. No, Zoshi. No, go on, go lay down. So yes, all right. So let's also go to Instagram, because Savannah released a message 7 hours ago on Instagram. And I know it's too small. Zoshi, go on. Sorry. There you go. All right. She has a basket. I have a basket attached to my desk. All right. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to read this. There's no video, but it's a statement basically. And I thought it was very interesting because of what we've been talking about. So Savannah put on Instagram, this is our beautiful mom. 6 months ago, someone took her out of her bed in the dead of night. We have lived every moment, every breath, and every heartbeat in agony and despair ever since. Every day we wake up and try to be strong and go on, because that's what our joyful and resilient mom taught us to do. But make no mistake, our hearts are in ruins. Cam and Christine, Annie and Tommy, Mike and me, we spend every waking moment thinking of her, longing for her, looking for her. And I'm going to stop. And again, no shade, because they're all victims, okay? But has anyone felt like they're looking for her? Again, she said this the other day, and I don't know if this is code word for law enforcement's looking for her, but again, Cam and Christine, Annie and Tommy, Mike and me, we spend every waking moment thinking of her, longing for her, looking for her. Where are they looking? Are they looking in New York City? Are they looking in Vermont? Are they looking in Italy? Where are they looking? I have a big problem with that, babe, because I have not seen anyone looking. Physically looking? Are they physically looking? Are they looking? I don't know. And is she using A and T in this sentence? Because I'm just very confused. I really am so confused. I don't know if they're looking for aid. Cam, or let me read this again. Every day we wake up and try to be strong and go on, because that's what our joyful and resilient mom taught us to do. But make no mistake, our hearts are in ruins. Cam and Christine, Annie and Tommy, Mike and me, we spend every waking moment thinking of her, longing for her, looking for her. Again, are you looking for her in Manhattan? I don't think anyone, all they did was they holed up in the house. And that's the thing. If she's including Annie and Tommy, then this is very confusing to me. I'm going to continue. There is a hole inside us that can never be filled. There is an ache that cannot be softened, and there is determination in us that cannot be quenched to find out what happened to her so that we can give her the dignity of a proper goodbye, a celebration of her remarkable life that she so deserves. We are begging for help. We are desperate. We need someone to come forward. Someone knows something. Someone suspects something. Someone recognizes the writing in the ransom demand notes. What's going on here, people? Someone has noticed something different, strange, troubling, or just unusual, perhaps with someone they deeply love. Perhaps they are afraid to come forward. Perhaps they are conflicted. Perhaps they are angry or upset for being in this situation. There is a way out to tell what you know. You can do so anonymously. The reward is available. There is a way to end this situation and do the right thing. And yes, for the record, you can get the reward anonymously, but you're not going to be anonymous. Okay, just saying. We are real people facing real grief, doing the best we can and counting our many blessings along the way, most especially the prayers and love from good people, which we feel deeply. We need your prayers. We need your kindness. We need the good to be stronger than the evil. If you are following this story for entertainment or for profit, you are not on her side. Oopsie. You are part of the harm perpetuated against her. Well, I know I care. We will never stop looking for answers, and we will never stop looking for the light. We will always be hoping and praying and believing in the best of our world in spite of circumstance. This is what our faith makes possible. Please bring her home. Well, first of all, if you're following this story for entertainment or for profit, she's talking about the YouTubers. They're the only ones who had been highlighting her mother's story. There are people that were arrested highlighting her story. And it's like she's saying that she doesn't like the people who have been covering her mom's story, apparently, that they're not on her side. I mean, this is just weird. And the thing is, she's asking about the ransom demand notes. Sorry, hon, but pretty much anyone who reads those ransom demand notes, I don't know. That's why when I was talking with Monks the other night, I'm like, maybe she's naive. I mean, if she doesn't believe, and it may not be A&T. Okay, I want to be clear. I don't want it to be them because that's beyond horrible. I think we've all gone that because it's what makes sense. This is what people don't just go after an 84-year-old mom, okay, grandma. People are not going to go and just get Miss Nancy from her home. They're just not. And have no way to communicate, have a weird ransom note that talks about emotions. I mean, my moderator, Crime After Dark HQ, it's Lisa. I interviewed her. Lisa was kidnapped as a child. There's an episode, a few episodes ago, I interviewed Lisa. And her kidnappers were in and out of the house in 30 minutes on their way to get the money. They had her mother call her father, who's a manager at a grocery store, and told her what to tell him, told them the amount, and said, meet us here. And it was bada boom, bada bing, in and out. They were in and out. And it was 2 people there, 2 people at the pickup spot. There were 4 people involved and gone. No one is going to write a ransom note with 2 deadlines and 2 different amounts and no way to negotiate. And then come back and write an apology. And let's just be perfectly clear. In the first, it says, if we're going to hold her for a maximum of 7 days. If you don't send the Bitcoin, she will be killed. And then the second one, it says, we never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. Let me be clear. No, their intention was to kill her if they didn't get paid. So, yeah, they were going to hurt her. None of this makes sense. Another reason why I think all of you and me are here and watching this every single day, reading every story, watching every episode we can to learn everything, because nothing makes sense. And, I have had a couple different theories. Now we're on this one. If next week we're shown something different and Savannah is right that Cam and Christine, Annie and Tommy, Mike and me spend every moment thinking of her, longing and looking for her, and they actually get someone arrested, then we'll know. And maybe it is random, and we'll go there when it looks like we need to go there. I'm happy to switch lanes. I'm prepared to switch lanes and pivot. I don't have to be right. I don't want to be right. None of us care if we're right. We just want to know what happened to Nancy. And really, genuinely, I just want her body to be returned to her family. You've got grandkids that are traumatized by this forever. Forever. This is pretty big. I have no idea how they're going to solve this. And I don't, and what's even more troubling is we see a note like this from Savannah that makes no sense. It says things that make no sense. She's mentioned before that they're looking for her every day. Where are they looking? Where are they? Is she looking in the green room on the Today Show set? Where's Cam looking? Where are they looking? They stayed in the house for 30 days. They stayed in a house with the curtains closed, going from house to house in Tucson when this first thing happened. Again, no shade. I can't imagine what they went through. They went house to house to get privacy. Okay. Were they anywhere passing flyers out? What were they doing? You've got, excuse me, you've got Cam, A and T, Savannah, 4 adults, plus whoever else, in a house for a month. And when I say a house, it's like whatever house they were in. They didn't, other than the walk down to the memorial with the creepy card being left. Cam, and people pointed out Cam wasn't there. Where was Cam? Cam was somewhere in town. What were they doing for 30 days? And I've made this comment before, and my regular people are tired of, even Scott Peterson worked the phone bank when Lacey Peterson was missing. Even someone horrible like him was working the phone bank. And you've got someone who is one of the biggest celebrities, could have been out there banging the drum. And there's not one flyer where Annie works. There's not one flyer. So I don't know. How can we take this seriously? She's not, where is she looking? Who's looking? Maybe she's paying someone and she has a PI. There was talk about that. Maybe she has someone looking for them because, I don't know. Lisa, again, Crime After Dark, she has a show, and she actually emailed me the other day that school is starting at the school where T works August 6th. And it's like, okay, are they going to come back? I've seen posts. I was on the lab the other night watching and asking in the chat, does anyone know yet if they're returned? Because there's a neighbor, I guess, who shares with 857 Tucson if the family's back. And somebody said, no, they've not been back. And somebody had driven by the house and there's no one at the house. So, and if he's innocent, which I hope he's innocent, it's certainly he's screwed, because how weird is it going to be for him to go back to school if he's got this cloud over his head and he spent the entire summer in Italy? Do they even want him to come back at this point? Nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. Yeah, Lisa says their neighbor drives by all the time. Susie B, I'm 78 and this made my son put cameras front and back and you know what? It's true. And I mean, I'm usually pretty good about locking the house up, but I'm so vigilant. Even, you know how it's creepy when you've got people from Amazon coming and dropping stuff off. I don't trust anyone. It's scary. Imagine being the neighbors and living in that neighborhood. This is terrifying. So anyway, I'm just really confused by this message, because this feels completely different than the video that Savannah did the other day. And today is the 6-month anniversary since Nancy was taken. And I mean, I can't speak for other people, other YouTubers. I don't do what I do for profit. I have a full-time job. I do this because I enjoy doing it. I really genuinely do. No super chat, no super sticker, no membership zone. I don't want anything but you guys to hit the like button and subscribe. It's free. And watch, okay? It's the only thing I want. I do this because I want to do this. I would be here no matter what. But it feels like she's got this anger toward YouTubers now. And I mean, if they're making money, this is probably their full-time job. It's the same thing as, Ubering and driving for Lyft or whatever. If they're making money off and they really want to go sit in front of Nancy's house and see what's going on. I mean, it's a free country, right? That doesn't sound like fun to me, but if that's what they want to do and it works and people are watching it and they enjoy it, it's not entertainment. I mean, 857 Tucson actually caught the PIO for PCSD walking the other day and stopped him and said, hey, can you do a press conference? And the PIO says, well, we just released a statement yesterday. If you give me your email and make sure you're getting it. And he's like, no, I think it would be helpful if you do a press conference. The sheriff saying he won't do interviews, and yet he does interviews. Cutie patootie Brian Enton can't get an interview. I know why cutie patootie Brian Enton can't get an interview, because cutie patootie Brian Enton interviewed someone who had left PCSD and said bad things about Nanos and what a piece of crap he is. Probably spoke the truth, but Nanos can't have that. Nanos has to control. He doesn't want to be asked. He made it very clear. He showed us who he was that very first time when someone held him to the fire and said, well, you said this last time, now you're saying this. And he says, I'm not used to people questioning what I say or remembering what I say. He's just used to having unfettered power. And he is only going to interview with people who will throw him softball questions, period. And yeah, and the little kid that he did the interview with, Sharp Exchange, that I'm sure he has made a voodoo doll of that young man and sticks pins in it, because he regrets ever giving Sharp Exchange an interview because that kid was very intelligent, very ready to ask hard questions, and Nanos just sounds dumber and dumber every day. But, I'm just, again, I'm going to stop kicking this horse, but I'm really disappointed in this message. I'm confused by this message, including Annie and Tommy. And she says that they're always spending a waking moment looking for her mother. Where is she looking? Someone please help me. Help me, help me, help me. I am prepared this fall or this winter. I will go look. I'm actually planning on, when it's not 110, I will go look. And I guess it's illegal or something, but I mean, I've actually emailed Texas EcuSearch and Cajun Navy and said, is there any way to get some sort of centralized database where people who have searched can put lat long of where they've searched so that people aren't duplicating efforts and share it? But apparently if it's not backed by law enforcement, someone's going to probably shut it down. So yeah, I'm very confused by this note, and something needs to happen. This is just befuddling. Befuddling. All right, so I am going to do my August 1st Crime Crunchies member appreciation. I want to reiterate, this is a no sticker zone, no super chat, no membership, but I do have some people who have insisted on being members. And because of that, I'm going to give back, and I'm going to spin the wheel, and someone's going to win a $20 Amazon or Walmart gift card. I just need you, the winner, to email me at crimecrunchies@gmail.com. One winner a quarter. And I'm going to shuffle the names a couple times, not looking. Bob Barker. All right, I'm going to click to spin, and we're going to find out who wins the first. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. Who is it? Ooh, Darcy. Is Darcy? I think Darcy's here. Darcy, aren't you here, Darcy? I thought I saw her at the very beginning. Darcy, are you here? Darcy won. Darcy, please, and I'll post this. Darcy, please email me at crimecrunchies@gmail.com, and I'll have your email, and let me know if you want an Amazon or a Walmart gift card. Congratulations. Woo! All right, you guys, I have done what I came here to do. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me here today. My bouffant do is bouffant don'ting today, and that's fine. But again, thank you, everybody, and thank you for my new subscribers. And I have on Monday, I've got Boomer Investigates is on Monday night. So please join my live on Monday night. I am very excited. I've reached out to Patriot Pride to do a show. I would love to have Monks back on. So we'll be doing all kinds of goodies, all kinds of things. So I will definitely be back probably tomorrow for a live, but definitely Monday. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. I will catch you on the flip side. And toodaloo. Toodaloo.